The first time I laid eyes on the plot of land, I knew it was perfect not for its scenic views or the small crystal-clear stream that ran along its edge, but because it was a challenge. Most settlers in the outer colonies avoided uneven terrain, jagged rocks, and unpredictable winds. They preferred the straight, practical lines of prefabricated homes that glinted with synthetic steel panels and recycled polymer glass. But I've never been one for following the crowd. I wanted something different, something that would last. I had been inspired by ancient earth architecture, the kind of structures that had survived millennia of storms, earthquakes, and marauding tribes not just as shelters, but as statements of ingenuity. The round stone houses of northern Europe and the dome-like homes of the Mediterranean. There was something about their simple geometry, their unassuming curves, and the way they worked with the environment instead of against it. So I began. The first step was gathering materials. I scoured the nearby hills for stones, roughly the size of my fists, smooth and firm. I traded a few months' ration of synthetic protein for a manual stone cutter, and I collected clay-rich soil for mortar. Every day, I hauled stones back to the clearing, feeling the sting of blisters and the ache of my back, and yet, every evening, I admired the little pile that would one day become the foundation of something remarkable. People laughed. Why bother with stones when we have nanofabric panels that snap together in hours? My neighbor, Lynn, asked as she hovered in her Levitt craft above her own sleek, cubic home. By the time you're halfway done, I'll have finished 2 houses and they'll be fully AI-controlled, temperature-regulated, and resistant to anything the colony can throw at them. I smiled, but said nothing. You see, humans have this strange obsession with speed, efficiency, and cutting corners. But we also have this stubborn streak, a stubbornness that makes us experiment, improvise, and innovate when the odds are stacked against us. That streak is what I was relying on. Weeks turned into months. The foundation of the house took shape, round and precise, a circle that seemed to embrace the land rather than impose upon it. The walls began to rise, layer by layer. I learned to balance the curvature so that each stone bore weight evenly, using nothing but gravity, friction, and the occasional wooden brace. Then, one evening, as I placed the final stones for the main wall, something remarkable happened. A group of explorers from the neighboring system had arrived. Their ship, sleek and chrome, gleamed against the setting sun. They were aliens, the kind humans rarely encountered firsthand. Tall, multi-limbed, and with skin that shimmered like opal. They were here to observe our colonies, to see if we were worthy as neighbors in their interstellar network. I waved. They hesitated, scanning me, probably noting the simplicity of my endeavor compared to the advanced technology in the surrounding settlements. You're building a round stone house, one of them asked in halting galactic standard. Her voice was musical but clipped, like a string being plucked. Yes, I said, wiping sweat from my brow. Round stone took me months. The aliens exchanged glances. Then, with a nod, they came closer. What is the purpose of this? Construction. Another asked. It's a home, I said simply. It shelters me from wind, rain, heat, cold. It's comfortable, sustainable, and if I do my job, right, durable. They seemed puzzled. They were accustomed to modular energy houses that could erect themselves in hours, shifting their internal configuration to meet every need. To them, a hand-built stone house was archaic, inefficient, almost primitive. Primitive, I thought, smiling quietly, That night, the wind came. I had always chosen this location carefully. The hills acted as natural windbreaks, but the outer colonies are notorious for sudden gusts that can topple weaker structures. My neighbors' cubic, modular homes shuddered and groaned. The wind tore at panels, bent support struts, and tripped emergency stabilizers. Alarms blared. Drones whirred to compensate. Meanwhile, my house stood firm. The round walls allowed the wind to flow smoothly around it, no sharp corners for turbulence to grab. I sat inside, listening to the whistling, feeling the warmth from the thermal mass of the stones, and sipping water I had heated over a small, efficient stove. I realized something: then this house wasn't just shelter. It was an experiment in resilience, a testament to the advantage of thinking differently, of designing for nature rather than against it. The aliens watched quietly from outside, their eyes wide with curiosity. By morning, when the storm had passed, several of their sensors had been damaged by the wind. Mine, not a scratch, dot. Over the following weeks, word of my house spread through the colony. Engineers and architects came to observe, take notes, and sometimes mock. But I showed them the fundamentals: aerodynamics, round shapes, naturally redirect wind, reducing structural stress. Thermal mass stones absorb heat during the day and release it at night, maintaining a stable interior temperature. Seismic resistance, curved walls distribute forces evenly, unlike rectangular structures that can collapse at their weakest points. Simplicity, materials are local, abundant, and renewable. Maintenance is straightforward and requires no advanced technology. People began to experiment. Some tried small dome extensions on their modern homes. Others copied the round foundations entirely. Slowly, a trend emerged. Humans in the colony were blending tradition and technology, combining the old and the new. And then came the unexpected test. A seismic anomaly shook the region, stronger than anything in recorded colony history. Satellites detected a series of tremors, and automated alerts were sent to all settlements. My neighbors' AI-controlled homes reacted, locking down and bracing for impact, but several sustained serious structural failures. The round stone houses, including mine, simply swayed slightly, absorbing the shocks with surprising grace. Not a wall cracked, not a window shattered. The aliens returned, this time with a more respectful tone. "Your species, remarkable," one said. "You combine intuition with craft in ways our technology cannot replicate." I chuckled. "That's humans for you. We build slowly, we fail, we experiment, and we survive." That's when the true game changer became clear. My house wasn't just a home. It was a blueprint, a paradigm shift for colonists everywhere. Engineers started experimenting with hybrid designs, merging the durability of traditional stonework with modern energy systems and AI controls. Suddenly, human colonies had structures that could survive environmental extremes the aliens hadn't even considered. Months later, I was invited to a council meeting of interstellar architects. My stone house had inspired a new wave of settlement design, and my methods, simple, human, persistent, were being studied across multiple systems. I stood there, looking at a panel of skeptical but intrigued aliens, and explained my philosophy. Speed isn't always progress. Technology is only as good as the environment it survives. Humans think long-term. We innovate with patience. We don't just react to the universe, we adapt and thrive in it. The council nodded, some in disbelief, others in admiration. My house, built with nothing more than stones, clay, and stubborn human persistence, had become a symbol. Years later, I still live in that round stone house. I've expanded it, added terraces and solar collectors, a greenhouse for fresh food, and even a small lab for experimenting with alien materials. But the core structure remains unchanged. Every time the wind howls or the tremors shake the ground, I smile. Humans, it seems, still have tricks up their sleeves. I built a round stone house, and in doing so, I rediscovered something fundamental. Humans are resilient, inventive, and unafraid to challenge conventions. In a galaxy dominated by speed, automation, and flashy technology, our simple, stubborn ingenuity can still change the game. And that, my friends, is why a humble round stone house is more than just a shelter. It's a revolution waiting quietly in the hills. Asterisk.